The Alto Maipo hydroelectric project, currently under construction about 50 kilometers southeast of Santiago, Chile, is a multi-billion-dollar venture anticipated to produce more than 2,100 gigawatt-hours of energy per year. The Alto Maipo complex includes 2 run-of-the-river facilities, delineated by nearly 70 kilometers of underground tunnels, transmission lines, and access roads. The project began in 2008, yet more than a decade later, there is no official timetable for completion. The project has been riddled with messy management that is tending to favor select elite parties. The project is highly unpopular and facing mounting opposition from social, labor, and academic organizations, as well as unions and members of the Chilean parliament. Alto Maipo's implementation jeopardizes crippling the Maipo Valley's value as the 3rd most important recreational and tourist area in Chile. A lack of binding agreements and enforcement mechanisms on both the local, cumulative, and international stages are driving these concerns at Alto Maipo. This is representative of larger trends in modern global environmental governance.
So you may be wondering, what is a run-of-the-river hydroelectric project? Basically, water from a river is diverted, usually located near a glacier or a large snowpack, and is diverted through tubes and pipes to a powerhouse downstream. And in this powerhouse, generators and turbines turn the water and use the natural flow from the stream to create electricity. And after the electricity is created, it is sent through power lines to cities for people to use. The water then is returned to the river downstream. An advantage of run-of-the-river projects is that when small and well-sited, they can have minimal negative environmental impacts, especially when compared to, say, a large dam. The problem in the case of Alto Maipo is that it's not well-sited, nor particularly small. In the beginning stages of the project, negligence by planners meant that there wasn't any contact with geologists to make sure that the environmental effects would be minimal. So now we have a project that can be erroneously publicized as green, and its negative public perception is mitigated. Some of the adverse effects are as follows.
At a local scale, the Alto Maipo hydroelectric project is likely to have significant impacts on the environment of downstream regions. Flows from the Yeso, Volcan, and Colorado rivers are projected to reduce by up to 60%, which would likely accelerate erosion, increase desertification, and lead to more sedimentation in the rivers. This would affect the habitats of local species, leading to net loss of biodiversity. Furthermore, by affecting critical ecosystem services provided by the Alto Maipo water basin, the project will also restrict access to drinking water, damage irrigation systems, and limit the ability of local cattle ranchers and farmers to continue to sustain their lifestyles.
The project threatens other livelihoods as well. This region is one of the most important recreational areas in Chile, receiving millions of national and foreign tourists every year, and 80% of the residents here make their living in the tourism sector. The Alto Maipo project jeopardizes that source of income by decreasing the value of the area, as well as affecting river sports, wildlife, and more. There are also a number of human rights risks involved, according to the Chilean National Institution of Human Rights, like the right to water, the right to live in a healthy and clean environment, and the right to develop sustainable local economic activities.
These rights, especially the right to water, are largely influenced by Chilean water laws instituted during Pinochet's dictatorship, and the way they play out leave people's water rights vulnerable to exploitation.
So the Chilean Water Code of 1981 strengthened the role of free markets in water rights. Under this system, water rights are separate from land ownership and are freely tradable just like any other real estate. The result of this is that the government's role in water resources management, regulation, and development is sharply reduced. And this opens the door for international financial institutions that are focused on economic growth to take a stronger role in the governance and development of Chile's water.
La militar fue una dictadura no solamente militar, fue cívico-militar. Y quienes formularon la Constitución tenían una ideología clara. El mercado tiene que ser el regulador de la sociedad, el mercado tiene que jugar un rol incluso más importante que el Estado, porque el Estado pasa a una segunda dimensión y el Estado regula. Entonces, en ese marco, los intereses que se pusieron en juego para crear no solamente el Código de Agua, sino que toda la legislación, el aparato estatal que se refundó, podríamos decirlo así, con la nueva Constitución el 80, y que el Código de Agua es un reflejo más, de esa legislación y de toda esa institucionalidad que se construye al calor de esos cambios es efectivamente la visión empresarial más neoliberal que existe, y es una visión ideológica que se incrusta en cada rincón del Código de Agua. Entonces, el Código de Agua es producto de esta visión y tiene características bien particulares. El Código de Agua, primero, señala que es el Estado quien entrega derechos de agua gratuitos y perpetuos a privados, y los privados van al mercado, venden, compran o arriendan agua de la forma que quieran, sin ningún criterio, sin ningún gravamen, sin pagar ningún impuesto. O sea, el Estado prácticamente les regala, les cede el agua a los privados, y los privados hacen lo que quieren.
So, because Chilean environmental policy is basically designed for compliance with standards required by international markets, it doesn't necessarily focus on aspects like ecological sustainability. Furthermore, international environmental and social standards for development projects lack cohesiveness. The financial institutions and export credit agencies involved in Alto Maipo have their own policies meant to ensure that projects are designed and implemented after environmental and social issues have been properly addressed. These financial institutions also have independent accountability mechanisms for dispute resolution, which respond to complaints from project-affected communities about the social and environmental impacts of their projects.
With these measures for accountability then, has the project been adjusted to address the complaints with where it is now? And how might governance surrounding this issue be improved?
In early 2017, the Chilean Superintendency for the Environment detected 14 separate violations of environmental regulations in the Alto Maipo project and imposed sanctions requiring the company to present a plan to come under compliance. In February 2018, the company submitted a plan to the superintendency with 59 measures addressing the violations. So while this demonstrates that Chile's environmental institutions are to some degree enforcing relevant laws, human rights and local ecology are still at risk. In terms of improving governance, it seems that shifting Chile's water rights from the private to the public sector could help better protect the interests of communities with those of development groups. More broadly, increasing community and NGO involvement in the investment and project planning functions of international financial institutions seems vital to foster better environmental governance outcomes. Without changes, local preferences will continue to be subordinated in the governance process.
As can be seen in the case of Alto Maipo, current Chilean politics provide little institutional capacity for integrated water management, leaving much of the water at the market's whim. Limited international coordination and disregard for community concerns are causing for gross environmental mismanagement of the region. However, as the project is still largely underway, time remains for intervention and increased cooperation.